How are you guys doing? It's Stock Picks by Tim, and in this video I did want to go into some larger caps today, and I'm also going to glance at the SPY, give you my thoughts there. Now today we're going to look at obviously the SPY, we're going to look at Nvidia, AMD, and Apple. These are three large caps that are, yes, technically in a downtrend on the charts, but looking at these long term, I do think these are great to start DCAing into. So let's get into this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I put out daily videos, and let's look at the SPY. Now looking at the SPY, you'll see that we are in this downtrend here, and we are approaching a recent low, this 357, 356 area. Now you're going to want to watch how it reacts to this, if it actually starts tanking, if it breaks this number, this 357. And coming up this week, I don't know when you guys are watching this, but coming up on Wednesday and Thursday, we do have the PPI and the CPI. So depending on how those come out, it can definitely cause a little bump in the market or a bigger pullback. So you're definitely going to want to watch that. And it could be a great time to do some day trades. Now I definitely do see the SPY testing its low and even coming down lower. You'll see that we are clearly in a downtrend, and I do expect this to continue until the Fed stops raising rates. I do expect a few more rate increases. It's going to be really important to see what our inflation is actually like, and it's going to need to considerably come down before they actually consider being more dovish and being less aggressive on their rate hikes. I do think regardless of what CPI comes out as, regardless of what they see inflation doing, they are still going to be raising rates. They aren't going to be lowering rates anytime soon, in my opinion. So what I think will happen is this will continue to push the market down a little bit farther. And this is a short to mid-term negative, but long-term, I see some great deals in some of these large caps. First off, Apple. Now I haven't added to it yet, but it is starting to look really attractive. It's sitting right at 140, hit a recent low here of 137. It's definitely possible to come and test it again and start falling further. We are in this downtrend, and before this downtrend we had an uptrend that started all the way down to 129. Do we come back down to 129, take all these gains out? I think it's possible. I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know for sure, but I do know that if it comes down to that level, it is great to add into Apple, in my opinion, looking long term. Now short term, obviously we're in a downtrend. This can definitely continue farther down. It would not be surprising to me, but at some point you do have to think, this is a huge company. This is Apple we're talking about. Do you see it going back to 170 area? Do you see it eventually going to 200? I personally do over the next couple of years. Having said that, can we see some lower levels? Can we see some lowered future guidance pulling the stock down farther? Definitely a possibility. However, if you are going to pick up some stocks that are in clear downtrends, I think Apple is a great one to start DCAing into. And next up, Nvidia. It actually looks like this one may bounce off of its trend line, work its way towards the 120s before possibly falling further and creating new lower lows. I do see this potentially coming down to $100, although we might see a little bounce beforehand. I definitely see that as a possibility, just going on what the trend has been. And be aware that we just created a new low here at 115. We are starting to see this bounce right at 115. That being said, Nvidia is still in a clear downtrend. So for those of you just looking to ride momentum, I would look for a bounce here and a continuation to the 120s. That could definitely be a potential play. Set a stop loss around 115. Definitely one way to play Nvidia. However, the overall trend is still bearish. We are definitely likely to fall further, even test $100, break 100 possibly. Having said that, is it a great stock to add for the long term? I do think so at this current price. And next up, AMD. Now I didn't mention AMD and how it affected Nvidia. AMD gave some bad forward guidance. It definitely caused a lot of the chip stocks to fall as well, kind of as a sympathy thing. Looking at AMD, I do think it's starting to get very attractive. And in my opinion, this sell-off is a little bit overblown. AMD hit a high of 160, 170 December 2021, which was the peak for a lot of stocks, a lot of the chip stocks. Nvidia, that was around the peak for it as well at that time. And it's just been continuing in a downtrend. They had that bad forward guidance and it dropped off dramatically. Now their earnings is coming out the beginning of November, so that's going to be very important to see there what the actual numbers are going to be, what their revenue is going to be looking like. And you do have to consider that they've cut their revenue expectations, I think, by around a fifth of the revenue. So thinking about it, okay, maybe it deserves a fifth of its price cut from the stock price. We have definitely had that and more. Does that mean we can't fall further, continue this downtrend? I think it's definitely likely we fall further and continue this downtrend. However, saying that, I do think AMD at this price is an obvious deal looking long term. But let me know how you guys feel about the overall market. How do you feel about Nvidia, Apple, AMD? Are you adding into these? What are you adding into on the large caps? Thanks as always guys for watching, and take it easy.